Hey, I'm Trav, and 6 months after I started my personal training business, my body collapsed with chronic fatigue. I was stuck in bed for 2 weeks, not able to get out, couldn't really do anything, could no longer think straight, had no idea what was going on in my body. I still had a business to run, and I was living off my savings trying to start this business from scratch in an area that I'd never lived before, where I didn't know people. I was going for it, and all of a sudden something broke. I had no idea what was going to happen. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew what I was doing wasn't going to keep on working. The 12 to 14 hour days that I was putting in, I could no longer do. I had to find another way or I would lose it all. Now, my story is not an uncommon story. Your story might be similar, but in a slightly different way. But the problem is you end up in a place where you're stuck, unhappy, bored, or hating life, or some sort of combination of these things. And when you break that down a little bit further, you find that you're probably in a position where you're at low energy and motivation. You might find that you have disconnected relationships, or you're just not seeing people, or you don't even want to talk to people anymore. And you're at this point where you feel unfulfilled and unhappy pretty much all the time. I get it, I've been there. So what I like to look at is the bigger picture. What we want to do is try and design, build, and help you live your ideal lifestyle. So we break that up over here. So this is our design area. This is where we build. And this is where we are going to live it. And we're aiming for a life you love rather than a life you hate. Now, I like to do that with a process that I use called a life map that allows us to do the design, build, and live process and figure out how to break it down so you can actually do these things on a regular basis. So if you're at this point where you're at low energy and motivation, you're probably going to find that the thing you really want is vibrant health and energy. That's where we're aiming for. Whether you get there or not doesn't matter, as long as you're on the track to improving from where you're at, because it's a process. Everything is a process. Now, if you've got disconnected relationships, I know that's not the sort of thing that you want. What you want is fulfillment. And strong relationships. And if you're at this unfulfilled and unhappy point, we want true fulfillment. And a great quality of life. Now, we do that by breaking things down a little bit further. So in this area of vibrant health and energy, we've got to look at your physical health. Now, in my opinion, physical health is the number one thing, because just by improving your physical health, you will increase your mental health. You will increase your energy, your ability to want to go out in the world and socialize with people. You'll increase your ability to want to go and do these things that you want to do. Your motivation is going to go up. All of these things happen just by focusing on your physical health. So that is always the place that I like to start. From there, we really need to go and look at your mental and emotional health. If you can get into your mental and emotional health, you can figure out what's going on inside your head. A lot of the time there's this negative self-talk where you are beating yourself up all the time. And you might be telling yourself, I'm worthless, I'm no good at these things. What's even the point of continuing with this anymore? I don't think there's anything going on there. Honestly, it's just a story. That story can be reframed because a lot of the time, what this is going on up here, what it's saying, it's the sort of thing that you'd say to anybody else. And frankly, it's not true. So we can actually disprove a lot of those things with some of the processes that we use. It doesn't take a lot of work, but it does take consistent work. So you can get to this point where you now have mental and emotional clarity. You are at a point where you are thinking clearly and you can become confident. You're motivated, you're disciplined, you can actually get back to doing all these things that you want to do. And it might be different to where you were before, but now that you can think clearly, now that up here is nice and clear, it is focused, it is allowing you to be creative so you can design that life that you really want. Next, we go into our finances. So your financial health is a massive impact as to your ability to have this vibrant health and energy. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but unfortunately, we live in a day and age where you need a good amount of money to be able to do a lot of the regular things. And if you don't have enough money, your physical health can suffer because you might not be eating so well. You might not be choosing the best foods for you. You might not be able to go and exercise. You might have an injury that you need to get over in order to be able to get back to exercise. It's going to cost you money. And then same thing with your mental and emotional health. You've still got to be able to go to work. You can't just be on sick leave indefinitely. Maybe you need to go counseling. Maybe you need to join some sort of a program to work with a coach to help you work through these things. Your finances is what is going to help support you through that. So this is our start where we start to design how we want our life to look. Okay? So focusing on that vibrant health and energy is our first step towards that life you love. Then we're going to go into our relationships. We want these strong relationships. We want to enjoy spending time with people. We want to be able to nurture the relationships we have with our family and friends. And we want to be able to get out and meet other people. So from here, the first thing I like to focus on is actually your spiritual health. And when I say spiritual health, I'm more looking at things like peace, focus, having that calm energy to be able to just sit into it and think, okay, what do I want for my life? How am I going to approach things? Are you connected to nature? Are you spending time outside? Are you spending time unplugged and disconnected from your devices and being plugged into social media 24/7? Getting to this point of spiritual health or spiritual peace is vital to you being able to have these strong relationships. Because if you don't have this strong relationship with your sense of self, how are you going to be able to have good relationships with other people? A lot of the time, people with poor spiritual health or a lack of peace, maybe people pleasers, doing things for other people rather than being who they are and doing what they want. Now, I talk about this from a point of, I know that I'm a lot different to most people I meet. I am crazy Uncle Trav to my nieces and nephews, Uncle Crazy, the weird guy. I'm a little bit different, and I'm okay with that. Now, because I'm okay with that, I can just be myself in whatever environment I'm in, and that allows me to be able to connect with people as me. Okay? This is me as my weird self. I'm okay with that. I hope you're okay with that. If you're not, I'll go and hang out with some other people. Next, what we're going to look at is trying to find a strong social connection. This is where we nurture the relationships we already have with our family and our friends, the people that are in our inner circle. And a lot of the time, these relationships can get fractured or disconnected, where you are no longer speaking to someone who used to be very close to you because either you or them or both of you have just not gotten over those issues. A lot of those issues can be resolved, but not always. So if you can understand how relationships are built, how the other person thinks, you can then be able to relate to them a whole lot better. But it does take effort, and it is going to take the time of you reaching out and trying to work on that relationship, trying to make it better. Sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not going to work, but at least you have done your part and been able to try as well as you can from that point. From there, we now look at communication. So having strong communication skills allows you to be able to connect with people far better. So here we're looking at how we can understand the people that we're in our inner circle already. Here we're looking at how can I communicate better to be able to connect with anybody that I come in contact with. When was the last time you walked past somebody in the street, you looked them in the eye, you smiled and said hi? Probably not that often. Now, some of you might, but unfortunately, this is not something that happens too often these days. We lose that connection to our close circle, and then we become even more closed off to those people that are around us. If you can improve how you communicate, how you talk, your understanding of body language, of tone of voice, of the speed at which you speak, if you are speaking clearly, if you are able to be understood because of the way that you are telling someone or listening to what they say. This is paramount into you having incredible relationships that leave you fulfilled and happy, and really at this point where you know that there's always someone to call or something to go to, some sort of event, you know that you're included. Okay, so this point of strong relationships really is paramount to you getting to that life you love. From there, we move from this place of unfulfilled and unhappy to a true fulfillment and a great quality of life. So this is where we take it from the design part, where we build our solid foundation here, and now we start to really try and live what we're doing. So first of all, I like to look at this one as career clarity. So here we look at your job, your career, and your mission or purpose. Where are you at with your work? What are you aiming for? Are you just doing whatever it is to survive, or are you using that job as a stepping stone to take you to the next point, whether that may be a new career or a better position, or are you looking at branching out into your own business and trying to figure out what that is? The step we go further from there is, what's that underlying mission or purpose that you have? Some people don't have this, or don't know if they have this, or if it's the right thing, or maybe you don't even think about it, and that's fine too. For me, I have to be teaching this stuff. I don't know, I can't not do it. I grew up and I didn't know a lot of things. I was the shyest kid in my school. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was completely lost. I was in that stuck place. But I have constantly pushed myself out of my comfort zone and been on a path of growth for 25 or more years, where I'm learning as much as I can and then implementing it into my lifestyle so that I can become the person that I want to be. And some days I catch myself and I'm like, wow, okay, I can't believe I'm even saying that, or I'm talking like this, or I'm doing this. Who am I now? And that's the cool thing, is you will grow and you will change. And sometimes it's into someone that you never even imagined. But you've got to take it one step at a time in order to be able to get there. So getting some clarity on your career is a really important stepping stone, because we spend probably like a third of your life at your job or your career. You might as well be doing something you really enjoy. Now, sometimes your job or career and your mission or purpose, they don't match, and sometimes they do. But if you can combine these things, you get to a point where you are now living your dream on a day-to-day basis, and everything feels like it's more in flow. So that's where we're at with your career, and from there, we want to look on trying to get a bit more fun back into your life. So here we're looking at hobbies and fun, and really what it comes down to is do what you love. When we get busy, when we get stressed, when we get to that point of depressed, anxious, what have you, often we withdraw from anything that we used to do. Sometimes it could be you start a business and you have to work really hard and able to be able to launch that business in order to be able to start making some money or pay back the loan that you took. You get so caught up in this cycle of, I have to work, I have to work, I have to work, that you push away the people in your life. You push away the hobbies and the things that you used to do for fun. And all of a sudden you're just in this place where you are stuck in your head and you are working 24/7. And that is no fun for anybody. We're still kids. At heart, we are still kids. I don't know if you've heard of people talking about the inner child stuff. Yeah, that's still in there. And you know what? You want to know what is, you will find that there are times when you just get completely lost in yourself or in the activity that you're doing, and that is when you feel that inner child. And it could just be you running around with your kids or your nieces and nephews, or it could be just getting lost in one of those sports or activities that you used to do. Now, I grew up playing basketball, absolutely obsessed with basketball all my life. I haven't been able to play since I got chronic fatigue. That's been 15 or more years now. But anytime I can get onto a court and even just shoot a ball around, man, even just talking about it, watching the game, I feel like a little kid. So for me, being able to get into doing those things, that's really important to me. Now, sometimes you will lose hobbies just like I did. I lost the capacity to be able to do that. But you can find other things to be able to do that will take over and allow you to still have that enjoyment, that inner child, fun, carefree nature where you're not thinking about anything, you're just having the best time of your life. So if you can spend a bit of time trying to get back that doing what you love, at least putting a little bit of time in each week to doing something that you look forward to and just brings you so much joy that you are just lost in the moment, having the best time. It's absolutely key to how you're going to be able to live your life. Finally, we move on to lifestyle and quality of life. Your lifestyle and your quality of life is the sum of everything else here combined. Because if you're not doing what you love, you're not really going to be enjoying your life very much. That quality of life is probably going to be fairly low. And your lifestyle might be stuck in this point where you're just working. And maybe you're just working a job to survive. That's not going to be fun. If you are not out there meeting new people, or being able to communicate clearly, you might kind of get lost in when you're trying to meet a new partner or make friends Or maybe you just get to a point where you just give up because you're like, there's no point. Every time I try and reach out and talk to people, I get nothing. And I just feel worse and worse each time. Your social connection, you lose your social connection, your quality of life goes right down. You lose your social connection. Like, where's your lifestyle? You're still stuck back here just working in that survival loop. So the more that we can implement all of these things into our lives, the better our quality of life is going to be. And once you are at that point, this is what it's all about. So this is our aim from the get-go. A life you love. Setting up a lifestyle and the quality of life that you actually want for yourself. As I said before, you've got to design it. You've got to figure out what you want. You've got to be able to build it so you can live it. All of these things are important. You can't neglect just one area. Unfortunately, if you neglect one area, it's always going to impact this thing right here. So for some of us, we do just put less energy into particular areas, either because we're not good at them or we just don't like them. Sometimes you've got to step back and take a little bit of time to figure out where you're at in an area that you're not necessarily confident. I regularly see this with the financial side of things, where people just, I don't really understand my finances, so I just do whatever, and then all of a sudden they're in a mess, and that financial problem causes the rest of this whole thing to break down. An incredible amount of stress, anxiety, depression, feeling completely lost and hopeless and not having a clue what to do. If you could only sit back and spend the time addressing this area and getting clear on where you need to be, you'll find that the rest of this just increases and your quality of life goes up exponentially. That is exactly the same for each of these different elements. So that's why we don't really want to neglect them. Now, you don't have to go super deep into all of these things. You do not have to be an expert in these things. I am not expecting you to be an elite athlete who only eats broccoli and chicken breasts. No, that doesn't sound like lifestyle and quality of life to me. So if I wouldn't expect that from myself, I certainly wouldn't expect it from you. Mental and emotional, yeah, okay. You want to be at a point where you're feeling good, but you don't have to be a philosopher. You don't have to be trying to impact everybody's life. You just have to be able to look after number one. You just have to be clear so that you have control over those thoughts, or at least you are aware over those thoughts. So don't neglect any particular area. If you are one of those people who has looked at this and gone, I don't care about that sort of thing, great. You might have found your problem. You might have found what's keeping you in this place where you're stuck, unhappy, bored, or hating life. Congratulations. It's a great place to be. The sad part is awareness is only step one. So you really need to go, okay, I figured that out. Now you've got to dig in and go and try and figure out how to solve it. Now you can go it alone. I've basically just mapped this out for you and shown you what to do. And I'll be putting a ton of videos out to be able to help you along. But if you want to go further faster, I've got a program that you can get into on the school community. And it is a free 28-day program to get you started on this way to a life you love. So we use our life map process and we start guiding you through this so that you can start stepping things up and moving from this stuck, unhappy, bored, or hating life place to a life you love, to trying to set up a lifestyle that is what you really want, to increase the quality of your life. That's what I want for you, and I know it's possible because I've been able to see the change in not only myself, but all of the people that I've coached over the last 20 plus years. So get to the link and head into that school community, join up. Like I said, it's perfectly free and you can get started on this way to a life you love. All right? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to live a life that you just jump out of bed for, ready to go, ready to crush the day and have a great time? Sure, it's a hell of a lot better than this place right here. So click the link and get started. I'll see you on the inside.